Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, we've got new comics to talk about, and there's a whole lot of fandom going on because all the shows are streaming right now. There's too much on TV. We're going to talk about all kinds of that right after this. Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Bueller, and we all got all kinds of good stuff to talk about this week. I've got new comics, of course, to talk about because every week I've got new books to show you guys. Plus, we've got all the shows here. We've got 3 episodes of Kenobi we're going on right now, so we're halfway through that series. The Boys launched with 3 episodes, so thank you for that, Amazon. Ms. Marvel starts next week. We see Doctor Strange hits Disney Plus in a couple of weeks here. So if you're on Hulu, The Orville's on there. All kinds of good stuff here. So yeah, so lots to be thankful for as a fan goes. So that's for sure. But there's too many shows, perhaps. I don't know. That's maybe yes, maybe no. We'll leave that up to you guys. Anyway, so last weekend I had the pleasure of hanging out with the prophet of pop culture, John Pica, over at the Bowling Green Comic and Toy Show over at the Corvette Museum. That was a good time. They've got a nice, big like convention area room, for that's kind of offset from the museum. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of space in there, lots of vendors, lots of stars and everything to check out there. So bought all kinds of good books there. So those, a good time had by all. So it's nice, to get back to convention season, even though it wasn't, one of the larger shows. It was a little bit smaller one, but yeah. So nonetheless, it's good to get back into that. Of course, this weekend, if you're in the Indianapolis area, PopCon is this weekend. So all kinds of people there. And if you're a Supernatural fan, there's a bit of a Supernatural reunion there because let's see, Mary Winchester's going to be there. Adam, the third Winchester brother, the one who was in hell for a few years, and then the actress who played Abaddon, who she's like second or third season, I think. So yeah, so pretty cool there. All kinds of neat things there to see. But yeah, of course, there's tons of other stars. There's wrestling, actors, voice actors, and so yeah, it's so many people to check out there. So yeah, so if you're in the Indianapolis area, that's this weekend. So. And of course, you may see, some Serial Box Network people there as well. So, say hello. Anywho, so of course, if you have any other shows or conventions that you want to pass along or whatnot, hit me up here in the Fanatic Forum, and we'll definitely, we'll pass all the info along. Because I like to help out people here and whatnot. So, hey, let's see here. John's watching in lurker mode. All right, hey, good to see you, John. Yeah, anyway, so of course, like I said, all kinds of good shows to talk about. Like I said, we're 3 deep into Kenobi right now, which is actually halfway through the series, which that's good and bad because I'm really enjoying myself. But of course, only 6 episodes, for the series. I kind of, I'd like to have a lot more, but yeah, I don't want to give away too terribly much. But yeah, that 3rd episode was killer. Yeah, so. Looking forward to seeing how everything pans out here. So, hey, Ryan's saying hello here. So, Ryan Permisson, host of And I Quote, what up? Thanks for the recommendation on that Batman trade. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I recommended to him the Black Mirror. I think last time we were, chatting a week or so ago. So, yeah, so definitely that's a good book to check out there. Yeah, and yeah, Kenobi has been, just, in my opinion, very entertaining. I'm not a huge fan of the prequels, but Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi-Wan was honestly my favorite part of the movies. So I'm really glad to see him back in the role. So again, I've really enjoyed Kenobi so far. I don't want to spoil too much there because, like I said, some people probably haven't caught up all the way, and I didn't warn you guys ahead of time that we are going to dive deep into the show, so I'll respect that as much there. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm really enjoying the show. Of course, lots of little Easter eggs here and there for people who are like very deep Star Wars fans, and of course, once again, the more we delve into the prequel, or kind of the post prequel before we get into the original trilogy area. Basically, all like the Clone Wars and the Rebels fans are getting lots of payoff because eventually you're going to be seeing lots of faces you recognize from those shows, and sometimes we've seen the same actors get to reprise those roles. So yeah, we will see here. So we'll definitely see how things are going on here. Nonetheless, before we get into all that, I've got some really cool comics I want to share with you guys this week here. And I know last week I trashed Batman Fortress, and so hopefully no one, again, I feel bad for trashing a book, but man, I just felt compelled about that one there. So, all right. So from Marvel here, we got a trio of good releases here. First off, from the facsimile reprints here comes Moon Knight #1. This is the original Moon Knight series. Once he got his own series in the '80s, after he'd been doing lots of appearances in other people's books or random anthologies, whatnot. So this is the original Moon Knight series here, and like I said, this is a page-for-page reprint of the original book here. So all the ads in here as well. So the only difference is you're paying $3.99 and not a whole lot of dollars. So there you go. What a bargain. But grab those quick because sometimes those facsimile books go really fast on the shelves, and then they basically sell online for a lot higher prices than the cover price. Not near as much as you pay for the original, but nonetheless. So nonetheless. So we'll get it while it's hot. That's what I'm trying to say here. All right, next book here, Strange issue 3. Of course, this is Clea, who is currently the Sorcerer Supreme because Stephen Strange is dead right now. That won't stick. On the other hand, though, I'm really enjoying this series. I'm a big fan of a lot of times when you get a lot of your classic heroes and you get kind of an unusual take on them. Good example is the Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock is Spider-Man, or Jane Foster is Thor. Bucky is Captain America, or Sam Wilson is Captain America. So basically, you kind of get someone else in the hero role, but it's not the original person, and you get a bit of a different take on that sometimes. So I think this is very interesting right now because, frankly, Clea is a badass. Let's not forget, yes, she is a Sorcerer Supreme, but she is also a warlord of the Dark Dimension. She does not play around. So any of these kind of Earthling shenanigans and whatnot, she doesn't have time for that stuff. So currently, right now, we're dealing with a group that seems to have it out for trying to essentially manipulate magic, but also destroy it at the same time. They're called the Blasphemy Cartel. So interesting name, but so still trying to kind of figure these guys out. Yes, like I said, there's usage of magic and a blend of technology as well. So we're still not quite figuring out what the agenda is, but nonetheless they're going out and destroying magic users and magic places around Earth. So some things to be concerned about there. Let's see here. All right, John actually said that he went to his local comic book store and didn't get any new books this week. Huh? Really? Well, maybe I can give you some recommendations that may change your mind and you go back to your local comic book store. Like this one, for instance, here, Ghost Rider issue #3. I'm loving this Ghost Rider series right now. Benjamin Percy's the writer on here. And just, it's Johnny Blaze back in the role as the Spirit of Vengeance, but it's a little bit different take on it because basically Johnny is not in control of the spirit right now. So, the writer kind of comes and goes when he pleases to, commit, vengeance upon people who've been wronged or killed or whatever else. But there's not that balance anymore now. So Johnny's kind of unaware of when it's happening, and like I said, he's not in control of things right now. But there's all this kind of imbalance going on in the magic world anyway because of this. So there's a lot of darkness and demons that kind of feel free to roam around. But there's also some other, basically people on the good side of things that are trying to get balance back into the magic world. Maybe trying to get some help to the writer, but I don't know, not necessarily. So yeah, but nonetheless, this is definitely worth picking up here if you love Ghost Rider. Great art in it as well. So yeah, highly recommend picking this up here. We're only 3 issues into the series right now, so yeah, you don't have to dig too deeply to get those. Over to DC right now, of course, they got a big series coming up, the Dark Crisis, and so this is the kickoff book here, Road to Dark Crisis. Basically, you've got 5 separate, small stories in here that all essentially kind of connect into the larger story going on. On the other hand, though, really, I'm not entirely sure how this all sort of connects because not a lot happens in here. Of course, the main thing right now is that the classic Justice League, with the exception of some members who weren't present, are basically considered dead. You've got Hal Jordan still sticking around. You got Wally West as the Flash right now. But that's really about your most senior members going on right now. Everybody else is considered dead. So you've got basically like Nightwing, you've got the Teen Titans around, stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's kind of like a new generation crisis here. So, and John's asking, how many crises can we have? Well, apparently a lot of crises. I mean, that's the franchise for DC when it comes to big events. They just slap the word crisis on it, and there you go. So I'm intrigued by the whole idea of this because now, of course, like since the Justice League are considered dead, all the villains of the DC universe are like just it's a free for all. Let's go commit all the crimes because Superman's gone, because Batman's gone, and they think they can get away with stuff. But of course, there are plenty other heroes to fill those boots. Let's see how well they do. Like I said, this kind of like, gives you a little taste of what's kind of going on in the world right now, but there are bigger things afoot here, and they didn't quite do a good job of touching on that. So the first issue, I think, comes out, next week. So we'll see how the first issue goes for Dark Crisis, but I'm at least intrigued by the idea. I mean, okay, it's not Superman, but it's Jonathan Kent in the role of Superman, or, Damian's still around, or Damian Wayne, or, Dick Grayson are still around. So you've got people filling those roles, but it's it's time kind of like a passing of the torch sort of thing here. So let's see. I'm I'm withholding judgment, but we'll see how the whole Dark Crisis goes here. But I'm always up for a good crisis, so we'll just see how this one turns out. Over at Independence here, I got a few selections from Image that definitely worth checking out here. I haven't talked about this series before, but I kind of got into it a little late here. But this is Step by Bloody Step. Cy Spurrier is the writer on here, and let me get the Matthias Bergara is the artist on here. And really, really cool book. First off, the gimmick is that this is a silent book. There is a spoken language, but it's kind of a dialect, or like a text that we don't understand. So for the most part, you just get to enjoy the story told through images here. But the plot of this is a girl wakes, she has no memories, no name, no language, nothing except a giant. And basically there's this little girl being cared for by this giant, mech knight sort of looking thing. So this is the 4th and final issue of that series. But it's really intriguing how the story is told. A very fantasy-based story here. A little bit of technology in there as well, but very much a fantasy story. Bit of kind of a fairy tale sort of feel to it as well. A little bit of a violent sort of thing, so not entirely for little children, but maybe your teens and tweens would be okay for it. But still, highly recommend this. You definitely want to check this one out. Of course, the trade will probably be out in a couple of weeks or whatnot, but if you don't want to wait for it, I'm sure your local comic book store will have all the other issues to this. So yeah, a 4-issue series. Highly recommend checking this out here. Next up here, a new book from Image here, and you want to get on the ground floor on this one, folks, here, because it's written by James Tynion IV. This is The Closet. And as I've learned, when it comes to horror books and James Tynion, you might want to get that first issue, because even if it's not necessarily that great, um, I you know you want to get a first issue of it because it's going to be worth some money. Nonetheless, though, this is a good book here. The plot of this one is that basically you've got a family who's about ready to move to a new city, but their young son here is basically being tortured by a closet monster. Classic stuff for little kids, right? Except the kid's not imagining things. So, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be a big deal. You're moving away to a new city. No, no, I think our monster's made it very clear that he's coming with. So, an intriguing open here. So, don't entirely know exactly where this is leading or how far this will go, but an intriguing open here. Let's see here. The art is by Gavin Fullerton, colors by Chris O'Halloran. So, yeah, so you like that there. Very, very cool. Very enjoy that there. So, uh, yeah. So, again, highly recommend that one there. Just want to check that one out. So, John's asking, Step by Bloody Step. Yes, very good. I highly recommend picking up all four of those issues. So, like I say, if you like your fantasy stuff there, but like it's really cool though. Again, that there's, you ironically will spend a little more time reading this because you can absorb just the art and get the story through that because there is no script. So, but yeah, I like that though. It's very cool. I grew up on, G.I. Joe issue number 21, the infamous silent issue. So read that one a few times there, and you can tell that story really well and having a single word spoken in that. So nonetheless. Last book here, definitely been talking about this series here from Dark Horse. We Have Demons. Of course, the supergroup team here of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I need not say anything further on this one here, but of course, this is the kind of family sort of demon killers sort of take on this not kind of like a more of a not kind of more like an organized super team or something like that, but yeah, so the whole concept of this is that basically there are two elements that came to Earth in creation, Halo and Horn. You kind of pick which ones are good and bad. And basically, everybody is made up of those elements and kind of like which one is greater, sort of thing like that. And of course, those who are greater in Horn end up becoming demons, and those who become Halo essentially become kind of these, can become these kind of holy warriors to kind of, take out all the other demons. But the interesting thing is that this particular group works with a demon. His name's Gus. So, but yeah, a very kind of, irreverent take on the whole, demons, angels sort of thing like that. An interesting kind of different version of it. So, yeah, definitely something worth checking out. This is the third issue of the series right now. And kind of, it says it's the end of volume 1. So they didn't solicit a fourth issue right now. So I don't know if they're taking a break or what they're doing. So I hope to see a fourth issue in the near future. So we will see how that goes. But of course, the interesting thing too is that at the end of every issue, you get a reprint of the script for that. So you can kind of just go through and just read the script on every page there, kind of get a little bit more kind of a makeup of how the book was made there. So yeah, but anyway, definitely worth checking out there. So, anywho, before we talk about more of our TV shows and stuff there, I do want to take a quick break for one of our sponsors, Comic Books for Kids. Gotta check these people out.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
All right. This is a great charity. I mean, getting comic books to kids in hospitals. So, yeah, definitely want to check those people out and throw them your support if you can. All right. So, let's see who else is in the chat here. Mr. AJ, good to see you, sir. Always happy to have you on here. All right. So, of course, like I said, we were talking earlier before we got into comic books about Kenobi. Of course, seems like people, this has been well received so far. So, I'm very intrigued by how the show is going to develop even further. I will say that the actress who plays young Leia is absolutely wonderful. I mean, just just a wonderful, precocious little girl, but just full of drive. I mean, there's no question that she's going to grow up and be a princess and run the rebellion and all that kind of good stuff. So she's I love that little girl. So I'm just very impressed with her performance right now. So interesting that we're not really seeing much of Luke. I guess that's kind of what episode 4 is for. So we'll see how that if we get any more glimpses of him, or kind of like he's off to the side and this is all about Leia and Kenobi. So we will certainly see here. Dave Mattingly in here. Good to see you, sir. And young Leia is the new baby Yoda. That is for sure. I mean, what is this doing for little girls here who are of that age? They're basically like, oh, hey, that's me. I'm running around with Obi-Wan here in Star Wars show. So, that's pretty cool. I dig that here. AJ is also throwing his hat in the ring here, saying Kenobi is good across the board. So, I certainly agree with that. So, but of course, like I said, we've got 3 episodes left in this. But like I said, I don't want to spoil too much about the events of the 3rd episode if you haven't got around to it yet. But it's pretty killer. John Pica commented earlier that it's the episode that sold him on the whole series. So there you go. But now, of course, just today, I believe, the boys launched season 3. Yeah, season 3 on Amazon. So 3 episodes in right now, and that show is a splattering of a good time. Lots of body parts going everywhere from time to time, and so not for kids. This is definitely the grown-ups superhero show here, and of course there's still some elements from the book they're still taking, but they've really kind of grown into their own thing here. So, and I appreciate that. It's having read the book, there's still some things I'm waiting for, and little events here and there that's going to happen. I know this season the Hero-gasm storyline is going to happen at least in 1 episode. I can't believe they're going to do this in any form. Basically, to be brief about this, it is a retreat for all the superheroes and the supervillains on an island in international waters, and basically they get to spend a whole weekend doing whatever they want to on that island, whether it's drugs, drinking, all kinds of sex stuff, whatever else. Anything completely depraved you can think of, and stuff you never even thought could be possible, but is. Happens during that weekend. It's one of the craziest storylines in the whole series in the book. Of course, the book is pretty graphic. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. So how they're going to, the show itself is pretty graphic, and as it goes. But I'm going to see how they're going to do this one here. Of course, we're building up to the Soldier Boy character, which is kind of this universe's Captain America. So we'll see how that all turns out. But Jensen Ackles plays him, so very cool to see him up there. So, and of course, Dave points out here that Ms. Marvel starts next week over on Disney Plus. Yes, looking very forward to that here. Back in the cereal box is also looking forward to it as well. Yeah, I am too. Kamala Khan is a fantastic character in the Marvel universe. It used to be kind of like Spider-Man was a very hopeful character, but Kamala has kind of come in as like this new is like just she really enjoys when she gets comfortable with being a superhero and her own kind of identity. Then she really gets into being a hero, helping people. Of course, when she gets to spend a little bit of time as an Avenger, that's a big plus for her. And of course, she's been in a couple of different young teams as well. Currently, the Champions, even though they kind of canceled that thing before it kind of got off the ground as the book goes. So right now, I'm trying to think where she's at. And she's she's kind of pops up in a couple different. I know she's got her own title, but team wise, I'm not sure where exactly she's at right now. But nonetheless, so but the show's going to be a little different, seeing as she is not an Inhuman on the show. She's kind of has more of a Kree origin for her abilities. But I think the actress they've got playing her, I think, really looks the part. From the trailer, it seems like they've nailed the character, her family, kind of her culture as well, basically being a Muslim. So, it seems like they've kind of just got all the parts down. Just her powers are a little different. So, whatever, that's not a big deal. The MCU kind of twists things a little bit, differently, kind of spins their characters slightly different than they are in the books, and it's worked out so far, in my opinion. So let's just see how this one goes here. So let's see. AJ is saying that the casting for Ms. Marvel is so perfect, makes him happy because she's one of his all-time favorites. Nice. Well, good. Well, hope the show works out for you, AJ. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to it as well. Of course, another thing on Disney Plus to look forward to: Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is going to be on there June 22nd. So, if you didn't get to catch it in theaters, or if you don't want to pay for it, you're already a Disney Plus subscriber, you just wait for it. You watch it at your own home there. So my wife's looking forward to seeing it because she unfortunately was having a really, long day, a long weekend at school, and she got very cozy in the theater and kind of fell asleep in a couple parts of the movie. So it wasn't because it was a bad movie. It was because she was really exhausted. So she felt bad about it. But nonetheless, a couple of weeks, she'll get to watch it on Disney Plus. I'll see all the parts that she missed. So, but it's okay because I saw it a couple times for her, so it all worked itself out. It all balanced things out. David also points out on the 22nd, Umbrella Academy on Netflix. So, good Lord, there's all kinds of stuff there. And of course, I'm not a Hulu subscriber, but the new season of The Orville is on Hulu, which kind of makes me want to be a Hulu subscriber right now because I love that show. So I'm very glad to see it back finally for its third season. It's been delayed. It got delayed because of COVID. And then Fox decided to kind of half cancel it, kind of toss it to Hulu. Anyway, so I'm glad to see the show back. So, I may have to get on Hulu there. So there's too much stuff to get on right now. Oh, man. So, lots. Of course, and we got Stranger Things now, the fourth season of that, or at least the first part of the fourth season. So my wife and I are watching that together. So we're only 2 episodes deep into that one. So we may get another one in here before wrestling starts up at 10 tonight. So I kind of hope so. But it's so far so good. I like this new villain, Victor Crowley, I think is what we're calling him. I like this. I don't know how he ties into the whole greater, thing of the Upside Down, but nonetheless, we've got a body count already. Of course, it's just, people we've barely just introduced, whatnot. So it's no one important just yet. But nonetheless, they're going in gruesome ways. So this season of Stranger Things may be a little bit darker for the youngins. So I've got a feeling we got some longer episodes too. They're going a little bit more than an hour, and then of course a few other episodes coming up this season are going to be almost 2 hours, I think, in length. So lots of good stuff there. Dave's actually saying that this current season is his favorite so far. Yeah, I agree. It's really interesting to see all the kids grown up. So it's that's kind of like a shift in itself there. But I like this. I like this season as well, and I love Eddie, the dungeon master for the Hellfire Club. Love that guy. Yeah, I totally hung out with guys like that in high school. So. Little parch here. So let's see here. AJ saying that Volume 1 of Stranger Things is his favorite. But so there you go. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. Of course, we've got the first volume right now, and then I believe Volume 2 starts in the beginning of July. So we'll see how things kind of all work out in the end there. But of course, this is going to be the final season for Stranger Things. I don't know if of course, the Duffer Brothers have said before that they only had a plot for 4 seasons with this particular cast of people. Of course, with this kind of being an open world sort of thing like that, they could easily start a new series with an entirely new cast, still under the Stranger Things banner. So you can just give it a new subtitle or something like that. But yeah, nonetheless, they can do a whole kind of franchise open world sort of thing with Stranger Things. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more from this, not necessarily from this cast, but yeah, seeing more from this particular world. So we'll see how the rest of the show pans out from all that. But yeah, again, enjoying what I'm seeing so far. So oh gosh, but yeah, so like I said, just all kinds of stuff to look forward to. Of course, if you're parceling things out a little bit, or if you're just kind of just binging whatever your particular flavor is, doesn't matter. You go for it. So of course, in theaters, we've got Top Gun Maverick. I did get to see that last weekend. I was blown away by it. I was surprised with how much I really enjoyed the film, because the original, while I appreciated, I've said, last week we were talking movies, I'm more of an Iron Eagle fan back in the day than I was Top Gun. On the other hand, this is a much more grown up, kind of, it's not so much like the bro film that the original one is. Like, it's a little more emotionally mature. We'll do it that way, like that. I mean, we're not talking like it's deep or anything. We're still doing fighter planes and they're blowing each other out of the sky, but nonetheless, so a bit of emotional maturity, some more kind of real world, problems that pilots are facing today with being replaced by essentially drones, and just kind of the whole, where does Maverick fit in with being kind of this loose cannon, but still being part of a organization like the Navy. So really enjoyed all that. But of course, the photography in the movie, the fact that you basically were seeing pilots or the actors, in the pilot cockpits, they're not really flying the planes, but it looks pretty close to it. It looks a lot more like it did than it did in the 80s film. Let's put it that way. The effects in there are quite impressive. I will say that. So definitely one you want to check out in the theaters. It's a lot of fun, a good popcorn film for the summer. And Dave's pointing out here that we've got another Star Trek Strange New Worlds up this week. So see, I have not got on the new Star Trek train show or trains, for the shows that pop up on Paramount Plus yet. I grew up more of a Star Wars fan. So my Star Trek, in some cases they were, yeah. In some cases, basically my Star Trek was more like, Next Generation. I watched a little bit more of that, but I more like the films. But again, I was more of a Star Wars kid. So, but I keep hearing, Discovery's a good show. Picard's really awesome. I've been hearing, good things about Strange New Worlds. So, maybe I need to get on there. But again, I'm on 4 streaming services right now. I don't need another. But nonetheless, I'm just, back to Top Gun now. I was very impressed by that movie. And interestingly enough, of course, we got a trailer for Mission Impossible 7 Part 1. So there's a whole lot of Tom Cruise coming up here. So it is pretty good stuff though. Let's see, but at this point, I think movie wise, I don't think there's anything else on my radar. Maybe the Black Phone's later on this month. So definitely want to check that one out. But again, Thor in July. So there's that coming up there. Really, I guess like I said, just a whole lot of geekdom going on. Lots to be thankful for in that regard. So, a good time. Anyway, but of course, I'm looking forward to whenever we're going to see another season of Invincible. If you guys haven't checked out that series, highly recommend doing so. Of course, it got greenlit for a 2nd and 3rd season, so thank God for that. If you're a fan of the book, it does a great job of adapting those books, but kind of doing its own thing a little bit. It doesn't vert too far from the source material. And the best part too, it's an animated show, so it gets away with, of course, the great thing about the book is that it's animation, the artistry is very cartoony like, very kind of classic comic book, bright and colorful. But then the dichotomy is that there is this like brutal violence throughout it, and the show definitely mirrors that. So Again, not for the little ones, but it is a fantastic show. So, based off one of the greatest comic books ever. So, highly recommend you checking that out if you haven't not done that. Let's see here. Of course, we've got a new season of Stargirl that normally it was a summer show, but now it's going to be in the fall. So, but I'm glad to see it coming back. I know it's, the third season was already greenlit before all these other CW shows were canceled. So we don't know if this third season will be its last or if we'll get a fourth season out of it. So kind of hope we do. I've really been enjoying this show. So we'll see how that goes there. So, yeah, John, you're mirroring my problems exactly. There's all this stuff, but only so many hours in a week. And of course, folks that work, 40 hours a week. I mean, how do you do it all? So, yeah. So you definitely have to pick your battles on this one here. So at least, like I said, I'm kind of, parsing myself a little bit on Stranger Things. So I haven't binged the entire first season yet, or first part of this season. So again, next week we'll see how many more of watch from there. So again, yeah, so many good things coming out. So yeah, of course, I want to know what you guys are really looking forward to. If I haven't discussed anything yet, there's again too many things. It's so much stuff to catch up on here. Let's see here. Dave's got a point here. In Louisville this weekend is Wonderfest. A fantastic convention in the Louisville market. If you're anywhere close there, of course, there are traditional vendors there, but this is a show that focuses on model making and movie special effects and stuff like that. So, of course, they have a lot of guests there that have worked in the special effects fields for a lot of the movies you enjoy. There are model making contests that amateurs put on. That is just some of the impressive work there. So I mean, you almost want to take them home because they're like just the statues you go out and buy at your local comic book shops or whatever else, or you get online. I mean, it looks like that kind of quality stuff. So really cool stuff. Of course, like I said, there are vendors there as well. So a great convention. So Dave makes a good point there. Check out Wonderfest this weekend in Louisville. So yeah, definitely worth checking out there. So I went there one year and George Romero was there. Yes, that George Romero, and his line was very long. But on occasion, you get some really big stars out there. But a lot of times, it really, like I said, it really celebrates the behind-the-scenes people who do special effects on there. And of course, this year, like I said earlier in the show here, yes, I'm sorry I don't get to join John at Indie PopCon this year. I've got some family coming in, so I have a good excuse here. So I get to hang out with them this year. So, but yeah, so you guys have fun at Indie PopCon. Tell the Supernatural lady people I said hi, especially Mary Winchester. Yeah. Dave points out that Ray Harryhausen used to come to Wonderfest all the time. And if you don't know who Ray Harryhausen is, folks, you might want to check your geek cards at the door there. One of the great grandfathers or godfathers, I said, of movie special effects. All the Jason the Argonauts movies, a lot of the Hercules movies, Clash of the Titans. Just a master special effects artist. So yeah, he was definitely a staple of Wonderfest for many years, and that was really cool. Like you could depend almost every year that Ray Harryhausen would show up when he was still in good health. Going to conventions, stuff like that. So as a kid, that was pretty neat, and he was wonderful. Like he loved his fans, and loved hanging out, the conventions and whatnot. So yeah, that was neat. But yeah, the year I got to meet George Romero, every day I think I posted on Facebook like years ago. But yeah, there's I think maybe I'm 17, 18, something like that. But yeah, getting to meet him was a big thrill, and he was awesome too. And it was always kind of funny as Romero got older, he looked more and more like Stan Lee with a ponytail. I don't know. Separated birth, perhaps? Who knows? I don't know. All right. Well, I think I've rambled on long enough here. So thank you guys so much for watching the Fanatic Forum here and all your comments and everything like that. Of course, next week, I've got a guest I'm excited about having on here. Got my brain goes a bit numb there for a second there. Next week, I'm having author John Cosper on the show here. John is quite the prolific author. He's done children's books, sci-fi and horror, but in a lot of circles, he is very well known for his wrestling biographies. He's done some fantastic books over the years on, basically, characters a lot of times in wrestling's past, which is great. Really celebrating, the people who kind of paved the way for a lot of the current superstars. Basically people dating back to, the 30s and 40s, people who wrestled in the 60s and 70s eras, the territories, to kind of, some, more, current wrestlers you may know from like the late 80s and the 90s as well. So, but he's got a new book coming out celebrating the 10th anniversary of Bluegrass Brawlers, kind of the history of wrestling in the Louisville, Kentucky area, which Louisville has a very rich wrestling history. So this is a lot of stories and interviews collected there throughout kind of like the first Bluegrass Brawlers really covered kind of like the genesis of wrestling in the Louisville area. This kind of gets into kind of the later areas, kind of add some new material in there. So, of course, you can check out all of John's books at eatsleepwrestle.com. So you can, he's got all kinds of stuff there. So like I said, very prolific author, but I'm a big fan of his wrestling books here. So, so definitely worth checking out. So he's going to be on next week, and we'll be chatting with him. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend here. Hang on. Things going crazy here. All right. Yeah. So you guys have yourself a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next time on the Fanatic Forum.